I've been married to Katerina for 10 years, and we've always lived our own separate lives. She enjoyed her time with her young lover, while I had my own string of affairs. I thought life would continue like this forever, until I met someone who truly touched my heart. She didn't care about my money, only wanting to marry me. I was moved. I went back and brought up divorce to Katerina. That very night, Katerina smashed everything in the house, hysterically yelling, "Who gave you permission to be serious?" Chapter 1. I was dozing off on the couch when the doorbell rang. I shuffled over in my slippers to open the door, and a drunk Katerina stumbled in. The young assistant with her had his arm around her waist, giving me a challenging look as he lifted his eyes. "Mr. Chan, MS. Lou drank too much tonight and asked me to bring her back." He put extra emphasis on "asked me," and naturally said like he was the master of the house, "Go make MS. Lou some hangover soup, but don't add longan. She doesn't like it." He smiled knowingly, adding, "She always wants it in the morning after she drinks." I found it amusing. The way this fresh graduate was trying to stake his claim was so clumsy. I couldn't even be bothered to engage. I took Katerina and her car keys from him and said calmly, "All right, thanks. Do you need me to call you a cab?" "Katerina really should take better care of you. You've been with her for so long, and she still hasn't bought you a car, making you drive the company car to drop her off." Hudson's face fell, and he stayed silent. I didn't feel like talking to him any further, so I shut the door and nudged Katerina, who was slumped on the couch, with my foot. "All right, stop pretending." Katerina didn't open her eyes, but her voice carried no hint of drunkenness. "Thanks. He's been a bit clingy lately, always wanting to marry me, so I figured I'd ignore him for a while." I didn't say anything. Hudson was different. Over the years, Katerina and I had each done our own thing, and she had her fair share of younger men, but none had lasted more than 3 months. She was a natural flirt, never staying by anyone's side for long. I thought I'd be the exception, but just 3 years into our marriage, she was already out playing the field again. This Hudson, though, was different. He had been with her for 2 years now. It was obvious Katerina genuinely liked him. If it had been anyone else, she probably would have moved on long ago. This time, she only wanted to put him on ice. She just couldn't let him go. If it were before, I might have been furious, but now, I just said expressionlessly, "Katerina, let's get a divorce." Katerina raised her eyelids and glanced at me, letting out a sneer. "Colin, what's gotten into you again? We agreed to do our own thing, so what's with this sudden change?" She turned over, her long legs in stockings bending and kneeling on the carpet, her slender fingers with wine-red nail polish lazily gripping me. "All right, today's my bad. Okay, I shouldn't have let him bring me back. The kid is young and doesn't know better. Don't take it out on him." I pulled my hand away, took a divorce agreement from the drawer of the coffee table, and placed it in front of her. "I'm serious. I have someone else." Chapter 2. Katerina finally opened her eyes, but she still looked lazy and indifferent, as if she was certain I was just trying to scare her. She grabbed the divorce agreement and casually flipped through it, but her expression gradually stiffened. I leaned over to glance, afraid she didn't understand. "We have 17 properties in total, including the ones in Australia and the US. I had them appraised. I take 8, and you get 9. As for the company, I own 22% of the shares, and you have the right to buy them at market price. The rest isn't worth much. We can each take what belongs to us. If there's an issue, I can get a lawyer to make amendments." Katerina slowly sat up. Her laziness vanished in an instant. "Colin." She raised her head and looked at me, a glint of cold light flashing in her almond-shaped eyes behind her rimless glasses. Katerina's eyes were on the lighter side, especially under the lights. When she stared at someone, it had a detached, inorganic quality. "Are you serious?" Of course, I was serious. It wasn't the first time I'd brought up divorce, but that was years ago. Back then, I tried every means possible, threats, persuasion, to get Katerina to come back to me. But this time, I genuinely wanted a divorce. "Colin, what is it you want this time?" Katerina threw the agreement on the coffee table, a bit irritated. "Hudson won't affect us. Why can't you just tolerate him?" She thought I was making a fuss because of Hudson. And yes, at first, when I found out about Hudson, we had fought multiple times. I couldn't bear to hurt her, so I took out my anger on everything else, practically demolishing our home. At the worst point, I smashed everything in the house, sat amidst the wreckage like a madman, pressing a knife to my neck, threatening her to break things off with Hudson. It was useless. She still stayed with him. I shook my head. I really had been blinded by love back then, so pathetic that even remembering it now made me want to go back in time and slap my weak self. This time, it's not that. I looked up at Katerina, meeting her eyes with a smile. "It's the girl I'm seeing. She insists on marrying me. Won't take no for an answer. I just don't know what to do with her." Chapter 3. It was rare to see such a blank expression on Katerina's face. After a moment, her face finally darkened. "Colin, I've told you. Hudson won't interfere with you. Do you really need to be so stubborn?" She still didn't believe me. I almost laughed. How about this? You can take a bit more of the assets, including the villa in Australia. How's that? The pressure on my side is mounting. Consider it compensation for your troubles. Katerina stared at me for a while, as if trying to confirm whether I was really serious this time. She narrowed her eyes, a cryptic expression forming on her face. Is it that young girl who came home with you last time? I nodded. Patricia had insisted on coming home with me once, and Katerina had seen her. Patricia had even greeted her with a smile, calling her sister. At that time, Katerina's face had looked a bit strained, but she hadn't said anything. After all, it was she who had suggested we each do our own thing, and she had been practicing it for years. There was no room for double standards. Thinking of Patricia, I couldn't help but smile. Today at the beach, she had taken out a diamond cufflink to give to me. The diamond on it was maybe half a carat, but compared to my other custom-made cufflinks and tie clips, it was the most unremarkable size. I thought it was fake, didn't pay much attention, but she handed it to me seriously. I know you have lots of these, but please don't think little of it. It's from the money I earned working. I wanted to save more. Colin, happy birthday. That was when I realized it was my birthday. Katerina hadn't remembered. Even I had forgotten. The sea breeze was crisp and moist. Patricia's black hair stuck to her fair forehead, her eyes pure and bright, reflecting all of me. The love of a young girl burned brightly, without reservation, fueled by the courage to burn everything to the ground. For a moment, I was infected by her courage. A voice appeared in my head. It was my own voice. I was 29, had been entangled with Katerina for 9 years. How many more 9-year cycles did I have left? Was I really going to live the rest of my life like this? The wind howled, the waves crashed against the rocks, and foam splashed like snow. After a long time, I heard my own voice. Patricia, I'll divorce her and marry you. How about that? Chapter 4. Actually, after coming back, I had some regrets. After being with Katerina for so many years, even dividing assets was a troublesome task. For both of us, it would be akin to ripping out bones. That's why, over the years, we both quietly played our own games, but never mentioned divorce. But thinking of Patricia's eyes, I felt a secret excitement and a sense of reckless relief. Maybe it was time to start a new life. She's just a kid, I smirked. She's impulsive and gets upset if I don't say yes. You understand, right? I looked at Katerina. Isn't Hudson like that too? Katerina's brow furrowed, a dark cloud of gloom passing over her face. Colin, are you really serious? Admitting that I was serious about a girl 8 years younger than me wasn't something I could easily say, but I nodded. Patricia is different from the others. Those were the exact words Katerina had told me back then. When I'd pressed her about why she had to be with Hudson, she had looked at me, a resigned smile in her eyes. Hudson is different from the others. Her others had, of course, included me. I never thought I'd end up saying the same thing to her now. Katerina paused, her eyes darkening with a turbulent storm, her fingers gradually tightening until her knuckles turned pale. She mocked. Colin, you're really growing backward. What can you possibly have in common with some immature little girl? She pointed her chin at the coat I'd carelessly tossed on the couch. Could she afford that coat, even if she worked for a year? You two aren't from the same world. She wasn't wrong. Katerina and I never lacked money. Over the years, even though her heart wasn't with me, we never shortchanged each other materially. Katerina didn't remember my birthday or anniversaries, but she always reciprocated when I gave her gifts. Usually, it would be high-end tailored suits of the season, or the latest sports car. One year, after I gifted her a villa, she even returned the gesture with a yacht worth over $60 million. No wonder Hudson would do anything to stay with her. A rich person's life truly was a luxurious fantasy. I touched the unassuming cufflink on my sleeve. It was a brand I hadn't heard of, with average clarity and average setting, something that wouldn't usually appear on me, but I liked it more than anything else. It's okay, I don't care about that. Katerina clearly noticed the cufflink as well. The one she had given me had been an 18-karat gold hand-painted French antique, specifically bought at an auction in Hong Kong. Worth so much more. I cherished it, but after those first few good years, we had started to drift apart, or rather, she had grown tired of me. During one of our arguments, I had ripped off that cufflink and thrown it away in anger. After that, it was never found, and I never wore anything like it again. I repeated. Katerina, let's get a divorce. She paused for a moment, then suddenly stood up. The coffee table jolted as she hit it, causing the vase to fall and shatter on the floor. I flinched, but she grabbed my collar. Katerina tilted her head up, her eyes filled with unbearable rage. Colin, who gave you permission to be serious? Chapter 5. I was startled and immediately pushed her away. Are you out of your mind? What's with the sudden outburst? Katerina staggered back a step, steadying herself before picking up the divorce agreement. Me, out of my mind. Do you even realize how much of our assets we'll have to divide if we divorce? That villa alone is worth $120 million. You're willing to give up all that money just to divorce? Does that bitch mean that much to you? I thought for a moment, then nodded. She's not a bitch. She's someone I love. I wasn't just some love-crazed fool. It's just that I already have more than enough money to live comfortably for several lifetimes. Even if I'm rich, it's not like I need more than one bed to sleep in. Why let myself be tied to this relationship because of money I'll never be able to spend? I'd made up my mind. Even if it weren't for Patricia, I no longer wanted to keep hurting each other like this with Katerina. Katerina gripped the divorce agreement tightly, the thick stack of papers crumpling under her force. She had always been someone who didn't show her emotions. No matter how angry I got, she would just look at me coldly, never revealing even a hint of emotion. But now, it was as if she was truly enraged. Her face clouded, and I could even see the red veins in her eyes. Just as I thought she might start arguing with me, Katerina took a deep breath. She pushed up her glasses, returning to her usual composed demeanor. Only her eyes were dark, betraying no emotion. Colin. She tore the agreement to shreds with a few swift movements and tossed it aside. If you want a divorce, you can dream on. Katerina slammed the door as she left, probably going to find Hudson. I half lay on the couch alone, sighing silently. A message from Patricia appeared on my phone. Did you tell her about the divorce? Did she give you a hard time? I didn't reply. I didn't know how to reply. I suddenly felt a bit tired. How did things come to this? In the beginning, Katerina and I had been young and in love too. Back then, we had no money, and after work, we'd crave something good to eat. Finally, we'd scrape up enough courage to buy a rolled-up cold noodle wrap. She swallowed her saliva and handed it to me. You eat it. I refused, and we pushed it back and forth between us until we each took a bite from opposite ends, eating slowly until we met in the middle. She stuffed the last bit of filling into my mouth. When we got married, she was just as excited as Patricia. I didn't have as much money as Patricia does now. The diamond ring was tiny, like something Tom would give to his sweetheart, a stone so small you'd need a magnifying glass to see it. But she wrapped her arms around my neck, her eyes turning red with happiness. She buried her head in my chest, choking back tears. Colin, I will go against my human nature, defy my instincts, and love you forever. Of course, I believed her. Back then, we loved each other so much that growing old together seemed like the most natural thing. But later, I learned that the human heart is the most fickle thing. At that moment, Katerina probably truly wanted to love me forever. But later, she truly fell in love with someone else. In our third year of marriage, I found messages between her and another man, though not explicitly intimate. They were suggestive. I confronted her about it. She hugged me, swore to me, saying he was just a client, that she would never betray me. I believed her. Then there was a second time, a third time. She gradually lost patience, no longer even bothering to placate me. She'd just push me away irritably. For the sake of the company, what else can I do? Can't you stop being so unreasonable? And then, there was Hudson, a young man with a face somewhat resembling mine, but much younger, fresh out of school, exuding youthful vitality. She had hired him despite his lack of qualifications. Katerina started staying out night after night. I knew she was tired of me, with such a young, vibrant body beside her. Why would she want to come back and sleep beside me? My heart slowly turned to ashes over those long, sleepless nights. So when she suggested, Colin, why don't we try an open relationship? You can see whoever you want. I won't interfere, and you don't interfere with me. Of course, I won't let anyone from outside destroy our marriage. How about that? I looked at Katerina. The woman in front of me bore no trace of the girl she used to be. The girl who squatted with me at the subway station sharing a cold noodle wrap. Perhaps she was just a figment of my imagination from the start. Time didn't kill her. Time simply revealed her true form, a form I had never clearly seen. After a long while, I closed my eyes. Okay, Chapter 6. Meeting Patricia was an accident. Back then, I was out partying every night to get back at Katerina. That day, I was dead drunk, and the manager had switched out 5 different hostesses, none of whom caught my eye. Irritated, I pushed open the door to head to the bathroom. I bumped into Patricia. She was out singing with friends, wearing a dusty pink dress. Her sleek black hair was tucked behind her ears, revealing a fresh face untouched by makeup. I was instantly captivated and grabbed her, complaining to the manager, "Why are you hiding someone this good? I want her." I was really drunk that night. Everything after that was a blur. I only remember pestering Patricia, demanding to know how much she'd take to leave with me. I woke up the next afternoon to find a new contact in my messaging app. There was a red notification dot on it. I opened it. "Are you awake?" It was only later that I learned that night, I had insisted on paying Patricia to leave with me, pulling 50,000 yuan in cash out of my bag. Is that enough? I wanted to slap myself. How could I have gotten so drunk that I ended up harassing a young girl? I was a complete beast. She insisted on returning the money, so I had no choice but to meet up with her to apologize profusely. "I'm really sorry. I was drunk last night. I'm not usually like that." Patricia blushed, pretending to be calm but stammering nonetheless. "It's okay. I was racking my brain for how to apologize when I looked up and noticed the emblem of our university on her clothes. Turns out she was a junior, and she was already in her senior year, with her thesis advisor being my classmate from college. That classmate could never manage to get his point across succinctly. After that, Patricia started sending me her thesis questions directly, and gradually, we got close. It was easy to fall for a girl like Patricia. She was beautiful, naturally beautiful, without any trace of makeup. She said her grandmother was Russian, and that 1/8 Caucasian heritage made her skin unusually fair, her light brown eyes incredibly clear, with 2 small dimples. When she smiled, her eyes sparkled, a kind of silly, sincere university girl who would arrange to meet me in the library to discuss Marquez's novels. After being in the shadows for so long, it was only natural to be drawn to someone who lived in the light. When Patricia confessed to me, I hesitated for a whole night before telling her about my situation. I said, "I don't want to hold you back. Let's forget it. I'm sorry." Patricia didn't reply. For the next 3 days, she didn't reach out. I thought she'd given up, and I felt a bit regretful. I really did like her, but on the 3rd night, she suddenly called me and asked me to meet. I must have been out of my mind to crawl out of bed in the middle of the night, get into her beat-up little car, and listen to her lecture me. Patricia was serious, her fingers intertwined, speaking earnestly. "You were wrong about this, you seriously hurt my feelings." I nodded. "Yeah, I'm a terrible person." She frowned. "It's not that serious, and you've already apologized." I thought about it for a long time, and I think I can accept it, but you have to divorce that person as soon as possible. She was like a meticulous little puppy, seriously pondering a serious question and coming up with what she thought was a perfect solution. I secretly smiled. "All right, I'll do as you say." When I mentioned divorce, I still hadn't made up my mind. That's why it dragged on for months. But now, I've made up my mind. I want a divorce. Not for anyone else, but for myself. Chapter 7. I attended the company's annual meeting as a shareholder. Katerina stood among the crowd, the center of attention. Beside her, Hudson stood proudly, basking in the limelight. The manager beside me glanced at me, awkwardly looking down without saying a word. My face remained expressionless. In the past, Katerina would always attend events like this with me. We had an agreement, play as we may, but no crossing the line. This time, her bringing Hudson was likely a reaction to my mentioning divorce, a way to get back at me. But I couldn't care less. Besides my own company, I also held 22% of her company's shares, making me the largest shareholder apart from her. I didn't need anyone to validate my status. It was Hudson who noticed me, and he walked over, a smirk on his face. "Mr. Chan, why did Ms. Lu make you take the company car? She didn't buy you your own. That's a shame." It was what I had said to him before. Seems he remembered. Such a petty grudge. I took a champagne glass from the waiter's tray. "I have over a dozen cars. I don't need her to buy me one. I took this one today because I was drinking and needed a driver." Assistant he. "You overthink." Hudson's face instantly changed color, turning a mix of red and blue, like it had been rubbed in a palette of paint. I was about to walk away when he suddenly grabbed me. Hudson's facade was completely torn off, and he spoke with disdain. "You're just a loser who can't keep his wife. Why the pretense? Katerina said she's been sick of you for a long time. It's only a matter of time before she divorces you." I was a bit surprised. Katerina really had a type, men who, to put it nicely, were innocent and naive, to put it bluntly, just empty-headed. I looked him up and down. That pretty face was about the only redeeming feature. Right after graduation, Katerina hired Hudson as her assistant. Though titled an assistant, everyone in the company knew what their relationship really was and gave him some face. Over the years, he'd been spoiled until he had no sense left. I squeezed his wrist tightly, smiling. "First of all, whether we divorce or not is our personal matter. It's none of your business. Second, you seem to forget that I'm a shareholder on the board. I could have you fired at any time." "Fire me?" Hudson's eyes squeezed out a hint of disdain, and he reached out to knock over my glass. The champagne splashed all over him, and he took a few steps back, crying out in surprise. "Ah." Katerina's gaze shot over, and she quickly walked over to him, frowning. "What's going on?" Hudson wore a look of restrained grievance. "Mr. Chan, I don't know what I did wrong to upset you. I apologize. Please forgive me." "Okay. I really don't know what I did." Champagne stains spread messily over his clothes, and he looked utterly pitiful. This commotion had drawn everyone's attention. They were whispering, pointing fingers, and their eyes sparkled with gossip. I underestimated him. I hadn't expected Hudson to be able to endure and adapt like this. I had only intended to scare him a bit, but now that he had put me in the spotlight, my anger was genuinely ignited. "What's going on here, Katerina?" "Hudson is young and doesn't understand." "Don't take it to heart," Katerina said, patting his arm. My expression turned cold. "Yes, he doesn't understand much." "Hudson, you splashed that champagne on yourself. It has nothing to do with me. I'd like to ask what you think this company is, a TV drama. Is your head filled with water? Everyone here had been around for years, and they could see through his tricks. Did he really think he was acting in some soap opera? The people around us wore mocking smiles. Clearly, they all thought he was being ridiculous. Even Katerina's expression soured, but she still shielded him behind her, saying softly, "Let's just let it go this time, Colin." Despite all the disappointment over the years, my heart still ached a little at this moment. I must have loved her deeply once. Even though it had long healed, the scar still ached quietly. She truly did like Hudson, I thought. The same Katerina who used to say she hated idiots was now protecting one. Suddenly, I spoke. "Katerina, if you fire him, I won't bring up the divorce again." The moment I said it, I cursed myself for being stupid. After all this time, even though I no longer loved her, I still couldn't let go. I couldn't stand being outdone like this. Katerina cared so much about her company, about dividing assets. So did those things, plus me, mean more to her than him. The banquet hall fell into a silent stillness, and everyone was waiting for Katerina's response. It felt like a silent standoff between me and Katerina, our gazes locked, both waiting for the other to back down first. After a long while, she slightly lifted her chin, her voice as calm as ever. "I'm sorry, Colin," she said. "He stays." Chapter 8. All eyes turned to me. I lowered my head, a bitter smile tugging at my lips where no one could see. What was I still hoping for? I should have known the answer long ago. Hudson gave me a triumphant smile. I glanced at him, said nothing, and turned to leave. Katerina seemed to want to say something, but ultimately, she didn't. I walked out of the banquet hall, the summer night breeze carrying a refreshing coolness, sweeping away the gloom in my heart. I was just about to take a stroll when a small car by the roadside suddenly lit up, honking twice. I was stunned. Patricia stuck her head out of the window, her face full of smiles. "You're out so early. I thought it'd be much later." I was shocked. "What are you doing here?" "I found the address of your company's annual meeting, and I thought, what if you drank too much and no one was there to drive you back?" Patricia said softly. "Your wife's lover is probably there too, right?" She made me laugh. "Yeah, we just had a big showdown. The enemy forces were overwhelming, and I had no choice but to retreat." Patricia, however, wasn't joking. She studied my expression seriously and beckoned me. "Do you want to go watch the sunrise?" Maybe I was getting old, unable to understand what young girls these days were thinking. Sitting in the bumpy little car, especially once we hit the mountain road, I felt a bit dazed. How did I end up agreeing to watch a sunrise in the middle of the night? Instead of sitting in my Rolls-Royce with its starlit ceiling and sleeping on my $80,000 mattress, I was in this old, bumpy second-hand car going up a mountain with Patricia. At the top of the mountain, it was dark. She carefully led me to a large rock to sit on. I looked up, and for a moment, I was stunned speechless by the sight. The dark sky stretched endlessly, blending with the clear deep blue of the horizon. The starlight above intertwined with the lights of the city below. Behind us lay the dark universe, and I couldn't tell where the lights of the sky ended and those of the earth began. The summer breeze, carrying the scent of grass, brushed past, and Patricia nestled into my arms. "Beautiful, isn't it?" When I was feeling down, I used to come here. I was silent for a while. "How did you know I was feeling down?" She rested her chin on my shoulder. "Your eyes look sad." I didn't respond. Patricia and I had been together for 6 months, and Katerina. I thought about it and realized I couldn't even count. High school, university, graduation, a decade. I used to keep track, but I'd long since given up. Someone I'd known for 6 months could see I was sad. Did Katerina not see it? Of course, she knew. She just didn't care. Now, I finally understood something that had eluded me before. How could Katerina, after all our years together, so easily leave me behind and fall in love with someone else? It had nothing to do with time. It was simply about whether she loved me or not. I turned my head and found Patricia staring at me. There were countless stars and thousands of lights, but her eyes only held my reflection. Colin, despite our age gap, she never called me brother, always using my name directly. She spoke seriously. "Don't be sad. You're better than anyone. Not loving you is her loss, not yours." Maybe it was the wind, but my eyes suddenly stung a little. I didn't say anything. I lowered my head and kissed her. Patricia was startled but closed her eyes obediently. Young girls had a way of kissing that was so unrestrained and fervent, a spark that could set everything ablaze. I felt my reason evaporate, consumed by her kiss. Even the wind seemed to freeze, trapped here, heating up and churning. I turned her beneath me. She didn't resist. As sweat dripped down onto her chest, I closed my eyes, holding her tightly. Just this once, I told myself. Call me despicable. Let me follow my heart. Even if it's just for this moment. Let another woman completely fill the emptiness Katerina left behind. Chapter 9. We didn't get to see the sunrise. Patricia fell asleep in the car, wrapped in my jacket. I, on the other hand, felt refreshed, having stayed up all night, and I couldn't help but keep looking at her. And every time I looked, I couldn't help but smile. Even while sleeping, she held onto my finger like a child. When I got home, Katerina was already there. She looked like she hadn't slept all night, her fingers interlocked, holding her head back. She looked up at me. I thought about what happened today. It was Her gaze froze on my neck. I heard her voice turn cold inch by inch. Colin. Her voice, for the first time, lost its usual composure. Where were you last night? I couldn't be bothered to deal with her. After staying up all night, I was exhausted. All I wanted now was to sleep. Katerina suddenly stood up, staring intently at my neck, her fists clenched. Colin, what is this? Where were you last night? I walked to the mirror and took a look. TSK. The girl really had no restraint, just like a little puppy. What is it? Katerina, don't you know? I mocked. Katerina had come home with love marks more than once or twice. At first, I hadn't even recognized them as love bites. I thought they were branding irons searing my heart, flesh and all, sizzling in pain, unbearable, but I'd slowly gotten used to it. So you don't recognize them when it's on someone else? Katerina was stunned, the anger slowly fading from her eyes. In the end, I could even see a hint of sadness in her eyes. How strange, could she be sad too? Katerina held onto me like that, and after a long while, her voice trembled. Colin, I'll fire Hudson. You should break things off with that girl too, and we can pretend none of this happened. Okay. I wasn't sure if I'd seen it wrong. There was actually a hint of pleading in her eyes. I suddenly felt disinterested. If she had said this earlier, I might have considered it, but now there was a young girl waiting for me. How could I waste time with her? I yawned, brushing her hand aside. Move. Good dogs don't block the way. Chapter 10. The next morning, the house was filled with the aroma of food. I thought I must have smelled it wrong, because I didn't like strangers in the house, so we never had a maid, just someone who came to clean at fixed times. I walked into the living room barefoot. Katerina was wearing an apron, a spatula in hand. When her gaze landed on my neck, she flinched as if burned, her smile a bit forced. Come eat. I made your favorite, Kola chicken wings. On the table were 3 hot dishes and a soup. It was clear she hadn't cooked in a long time. Her skills were rusty. The Kola chicken wings were a bit burnt, and the blanched greens were overcooked. Limp and lifeless, Katerina rubbed her hands on her apron, seemingly aware that her cooking wasn't up to par. It's been a while since I cooked, guess I've lost my touch. I sat at the table, feeling a bit dazed. A long time ago, I used to eat these dishes often. Back then, we hadn't made it yet, living in a small rented room, sharing a kitchen with others. I used to go out every day seeking investors, eating irregularly, often ending up with a stomachache. The doctor said it was gastritis. Katerina's career was just taking off too, and she was busy as hell, but she still came back every day to cook for me. I told her I could cook for myself, but she never trusted me to do it. She always said, it's fine, I'm not tired. Kola chicken wings, scallion oil bok choy, shrimp with cabbage, and pigeon, angelica, and red date soup. These were my favorite dishes. Later, Katerina got so good that she could prepare everything in an hour and a half, and everything would look perfect. I couldn't remember how long it had been since I'd last eaten these dishes. Probably since the day I first found those messages between her and another man on her phone. That was the last time. Now, just a few short years later, sitting at the table eating with her felt like something from a different lifetime. I spoke, feeling conflicted. Why bother? What was the point now? Katerina filled my bowl with rice, sitting across from me, talking to herself. I thought it over. It was my fault before. I shouldn't have disrespected you with the Hudson situation. You were right. I should fire him. I'll let HR take care of it. From now on, I'll control myself. She paused, her voice faltering for a moment. Let's not get divorced. Okay. I looked up at her. Katerina had always been confident and certain. Even when she was cheating, she'd look me in the eye and tell me, yes, I'm with him. But now, she was avoiding my gaze. I knew her too well. She was panicking. Suddenly, the food in my mouth tasted like ash, dry and flavorless. If she had said this to me even half a year ago, I'd have been ecstatic. She had tortured me for so long, and my only obsession was for her to change her mind. Loving someone too much means losing yourself, losing all reason. But now, I thought of what Patricia had whispered in my ear last night. She was right. Not loving me wasn't my loss, it was Katerina's. I wouldn't let her hurt me again. I shook my head. No, what's the point? Even if we start over, we'll just end up back here. No. Katerina put down her bowl, hurriedly walking to stand in front of me. This time, I won't see anyone else. Her fingers rubbed my neck, her manicured nails grazing my skin. Katerina lowered her voice, a hint of seduction in her tone. Colin, is she better than me? I felt uncomfortable, moving my chair back slightly, but Katerina straddled my lap, her red lips brushing against my ear, her breath warm against my skin, raising goosebumps. Colin, she kissed the corner of my lips, her hand reaching down, Whatever she can give you, I can too. Katerina and I hadn't been intimate in a long time. She found me less exciting than those outside, and I found her dirty. We didn't even sleep in the same bed anymore. At that moment, I suddenly felt a surge of nausea in my stomach. I pushed her away violently and ran to the bathroom, vomiting everything I'd just eaten, not leaving a bit behind. I vomited so hard I couldn't breathe, gasping for air. Katerina followed, her expression darkening. Colin, she sounded almost incredulous. Do you find me disgusting? Yes. Compared to last night's pure kiss, this one was tainted by too many filthy impurities. For the first time, I found myself hating this person's touch. After rinsing my mouth, I waved her off, exhausted. Katerina, furious, demanded, "What do you mean by this? Colin, I'm your wife." She tried to kiss me again, yanking at my pajamas. Her scent was already unfamiliar to me, so unfamiliar it was unbearable. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and slapped her. The crisp sound echoed in the small space, and Katerina turned her head, silent for a long time. I wiped my face, my voice hoarse. "Katerina, you make me sick." After a long time, Katerina finally turned back to look at me. Her gaze seemed empty, or perhaps filled with a million conflicting emotions. Then, she violently tore off her apron and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Chapter 11. The next day, I went to the office. After all, with such a large company, the divorce involved issues related to company shares and finances, so I had to oversee things myself. As soon as I got off the elevator, the manager came jogging over. "Mr. Chan, MS. Lou just sent word, Hudson's been fired, and he's packing up his things now." I raised an eyebrow. I'd argued with Katerina for so long, and she refused to fire Hudson, and now, she did it so cleanly. I touched the fading love mark on my neck, or maybe, it's only when the shoe is on her own foot that she understands the pain. Katerina finally learned empathy. All right, I wasn't interested. At this point, what's the point? The child's dead, and now she's offering milk. This late compromise is something I no longer need. As I was heading toward finance, I ran into Hudson carrying a big box, flanked by 2 security guards. They seemed to be helping him with his things, but were actually there to ensure he left. His face was dark, and he said nothing. Everyone on the floor pretended to be working, but they were really just watching, gossiping, their expressions full of mockery. This kind of utterly useless connection, with an inflated ego, had left everyone angry yet silent all these years. It was only because of Katerina that he was given any respect. Now that Katerina clearly wasn't protecting him, what did he amount to? A worthless piece of trash. Hudson looked up and saw me, his eyes filled with deep hatred, and I almost suspected he wanted to punch me. He freed one hand to wipe his face, trying to make himself look less pathetic, lifting his chin at me. "Colin, are you happy now?" I didn't want to make a scene in front of everyone, so I initially planned to ignore him, but he blocked my path, relentless, his features twisted in rage. "Katerina will not let you off. Do you even know she doesn't love you anymore? She told me herself that she's tired of you and isn't interested in you at all. Katerina won't leave me, she'll definitely divorce you." I barely resisted the urge to roll my eyes. "A grown man, sleeping with someone's wife for free, and you're proud of it, aren't you?" I frowned. "Did your mother give birth to you just so you could become a gigolo?" I waved him off, annoyed. "Security, get him out of here. I don't want to hear his noise anymore." "Yes, Mr. Chan." Hudson's biggest problem was that he couldn't see that he only existed because of Katerina. Everything he had was given by Katerina. When Katerina wanted to protect him, he could be arrogant, but once Katerina discarded him, he had nowhere left to go. And yet, he was still shouting. How laughable. The security guards quickly came up and dragged Hudson out. He was carried out like a dead dog, still spouting provocations. "Colin, don't be too pleased. Katerina will bring me back. Just you wait." I walked over to him, chuckling softly. "You're overthinking it. I wasn't the one who fired you. Katerina fired you. The moment I mentioned divorce, she panicked. Before I even brought up your name, she couldn't wait to get rid of you." "Impossible." Hudson's face went pale. Then he gritted his teeth. "You're lying. She wouldn't do this to me. Believe what you want." I shrugged and turned to leave. Behind me, Hudson yelled angrily, "Impossible. Colin, you're lying to me, aren't you? Katerina wouldn't do this to me. She said she loved me." "She said." I smirked coldly, still facing away from him. "Love?" She had said that word to me countless times, and yet, here we are. Now, I finally understand. Me, Hudson, any other man, it doesn't matter. She's never loved anyone. The only thing she loves is the never-ending novelty. Chapter 12. After work, Katerina's car was already parked by the side of the road. I thought for a moment before getting in. I fired her. In the stuffy car, she spoke. I replied indifferently. "You actually did it. I thought you liked him a lot." Katerina forced a smile. "Like him a lot? Not really, just a toy I kept around." "Then why did you protect him before?" when I was making such a fuss. As soon as I asked the question, I understood. Katerina's protection wasn't because she loved him that much, it was because she thought my arguments with her were no threat. What could a fight achieve? At most, I'd feel bad for a few days. I loved her so much, and I would never leave her. Now that she realized I was truly going to divorce her, she was finally afraid. Katerina lit a slim cigarette, and the smoke filled the small car. She leaned back in her seat, her eyes obscured behind the haze. Colin, we've been through thick and thin together, there's no need for it to end like this. No matter how many men I find outside, they could never replace you. We mean something different to each other, don't we, Katerina? You're shameless, I said calmly. What do you take this marriage for? And what else? She exhaled smoke, a mocking smile at the corner of her eyes, as if ridiculing my naivete. Humans are like this, Colin. It's the nature of humans as animals. I wanted to stay with you at first, but then I realized I couldn't resist. Those men kept coming on to me. I could refuse once, twice, but what about 10 times, 100 times? She turned her head, the light reflecting coldly off her rimless glasses. You think if you're with that young girl, you won't end up like this? Colin, how can anyone love just one person forever? In the end, it's all the same. I leaned back in my seat and said softly, no, Katerina, don't compare yourself to her, you're not worthy. For a moment, Katerina was stunned, then her fingers clenched, snapping her cigarette. What did you say? I looked at her, expressionless. Humans are different from animals. What makes us human is the ability to control our actions. If you act like a dog in heat, falling for anyone you meet, what difference is there between you and an animal? I'm looking for a person, a normal human being who can be faithful in a marriage, not an animal. This time, Katerina was silent for a long time. Only when the glowing cigarette butt burned her fingers did she react. What if? I promise not to find anyone else from now on. She kept her head down, not looking at me. Colin, we've been together for so many years. I admit it. I really can't live without you. I'll try to change. Give us another chance. Okay. It was strange hearing these words from Katerina. In the past, she would tirelessly brainwash me. People are like this. No one can love just one person their whole life. The love hormone fades after 6 months. They don't affect you. Why are you so bothered? She was sure I wouldn't leave, so she never cared about my feelings. Her words haunted me at midnight, tearing me apart, leaving me bleeding. Now, she was saying she would settle down. I believed Katerina was sincere at this moment. She was never one to lie. Sometimes I even wished she would lie to me, so I wouldn't feel so pathetically exposed. A message popped up. I opened it. It was from Patricia. Tomorrow's my graduation party. Everyone else will have a partner. Will I have one too? I couldn't help but smile. Patricia was always trying to make our relationship public. Especially after that night, she could hardly hold back, wanting to stick to me every minute of every day. She was so beautiful, so outstanding. She must have many suitors. Really, she made me like her more and more. I opened the car door, smiling at Katerina. No thanks, I've already found someone I want to be with. In the Rolls-Royce, a glass partition separated Katerina and me. She sat in the lingering smoke, her expression unreadable. She seemed to say something. Unfortunately, with the distance, I couldn't hear. Chapter 13. I moved out of the house. Katerina used to stay out often, and I'd slowly gotten used to being alone. Recently, however, she seemed like a different person, coming home every day on time, like clockwork. The moment she got home, she would put on an apron to cook, and at night, she would grab a pillow and insist on sleeping with me. So I ended up locking the bedroom door. Every morning, I'd find the ashtray full of cigarette butts. Katerina was a very self-controlled person, and she smoked in moderation. I had rarely seen her indulge like this. She started bringing up the past a lot, talking about when we were poor, sharing a cold noodle wrap, about the days when she worked late, missed the bus, and wouldn't spend money on a cab. So I'd pick her up on a shared bike. She'd hug my waist and tell me everything that happened during her day. Even though we were poor back then, we were really happy. Katerina's expression held a hint of nostalgia. I just found it boring. I'd already relived those memories too many times over the years. I'd told her about them too many times. Saying it now, it just felt pointless. She genuinely seemed to want to make up with me, even leaving company matters to her assistant so she could stay at home with me every day. I couldn't stand it and ended up moving my things out. On the day I left, Katerina didn't try to stop me. She just looked a bit sad. Just as I was about to get into the elevator, she spoke. Colin, I won't stop you from being with her. Go ahead and play around, but let's not get divorced. Okay. I'll bear all the pain I put you through. Would that make things fair? Her words were difficult, even seemed humiliating. For Katerina, it was an unexpected concession. No can do. I turned back. If I don't get divorced, how will I marry her? Katerina finally agreed to the divorce. The condition was that she wanted to meet Patricia. The three of us got into the car. Patricia sat in the front passenger seat, Katerina in the back. Her face was grim, but she didn't say anything, Just as I started the car, a black SUV suddenly charged at us from the side. I recognized it immediately. It was Hudson's car. Katerina had bought it for him after I taunted him. This was a narrow road, and I had nowhere to avoid it. Through the windshield, I could vaguely see Hudson's twisted face as he shouted, "Die." At that moment, Katerina suddenly lunged at me from the back, as if trying to shield me. Patricia was stuck by her seatbelt, unable to move. My first instinct was to throw myself over Patricia. Boom. Hudson stepped on the gas, and the two cars collided violently. In the final moment, I felt someone's hand protect my head. Then, I lost consciousness. Chapter 14. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was a white ceiling. It took me a moment to register the antiseptic smell in the air. Awake, a nurse glanced at me, expertly changing my "for." "You were in a car accident, remember? You're lucky, no major injuries. Your wife and your sister really took care of you, you just got some scratches. After a while, see if you feel any nausea or dizziness, to check for a concussion." I was startled. "Where's Patricia?" "The young girl in jeans." "Oh, your sister got hurt a bit worse," the nurse replied while taking my temperature. "She used her hand to protect your head, 2 fingers got fractured, and her head hit something, but it's not too serious. She doesn't play the piano, does she?" I gently shook my head. "And the other one?" I still remembered that before the crash, Katerina had lunged over me to shield me. My feelings were complicated. I didn't understand why Katerina would do that. She was the one who didn't care about me. She was the one who hurt me. And in the end, she was the one who risked her life to protect me. Why? The nurse paused for a moment, then tried to comfort me. "Your wife got hurt pretty badly. If she had just stayed in the back seat, she wouldn't have been hurt. But she insisted on protecting you. 2 of her ribs were fractured. One of them missed, piercing her heart by just 0.8 centimeters. She's still in the ICU. Try not to worry, she's been stabilized. But it's still critical, and she needs to be under observation." I lowered my eyes. I didn't understand why Katerina did it. It felt like I never really saw her clearly. Katerina woke up 3 days later. Luckily, she was in good physical condition, and after a few more days, she was moved to a general ward. Patricia didn't come in with me. Standing at the door, she said, "I won't go in, you two must have a lot to talk about." I nodded and pushed the door open. In just a few days, Katerina looked like a completely different person. She'd been on a glucose and nutrient drip all this time, and she'd lost a lot of weight, her pale face wrapped in the hospital gown, looking fragile. I sat beside her, and neither of us spoke. After a few minutes, I broke the silence. "Why did you save me?" "Hudson was coming for me. The police said he'd been waiting for 3 days. It was premeditated. If Katerina hadn't shielded me, I might have been seriously hurt. She was in the back seat, she should have been fine." Katerina smiled. "There isn't always a why." At the time, I couldn't think. The room fell silent again. After a long while, she looked out the window. "Maybe you mean more to me than I thought, Colin. All these years, I thought I didn't love you anymore. There were so many fresh men outside. I couldn't get enough of them. They all admired me. They all tried to please me. Unlike you, you never tried to please me, because you saw me at my lowest. When I look at you, I think of the days when I had nothing. Who likes to be reminded of their miserable days? And because of that, I didn't want to see you. I thought I didn't love you anymore." She frowned, looking a bit confused. "But it's strange. When that car came at us, all I could think was that I couldn't let anything happen to you. I don't even understand myself. I didn't understand either. I guess human emotions are just that complicated, impossible even for ourselves to fully grasp." I looked down, wanting to light a cigarette, but put it back down, unsure of what to say. Katerina pulled out a smile, but it looked so painful. I thought you would always love me. Back then, when I found someone else, you were in so much pain. I thought you'd always stay by my side. During the crash, you shielded Patricia, didn't you?" "Colin, you're such a fool. Whenever you love someone, you give everything to them. It's not smart, you know." I said nothing. I once thought Katerina didn't love me anymore, but she chose to protect me during the car accident. I also once thought I would love Katerina forever, but in that moment, I chose someone else. It was kind of ridiculous. "Katerina." She called my name. I looked up. "Yes." She gave me a smile that looked worse than crying. "Let's get divorced. I'm letting you go, get out." I hesitated. "Your injuries haven't healed, let's wait." Katerina lifted her head, her smile mocking. "What are you thinking, Colin? You think I can't live without you? I'm still beautiful and rich. There are enough men lining up for me that they could stretch to France. I'm not going to hang myself over a man like you. Let's get divorced so I can find myself a young, handsome boy toy." This woman, even now, wouldn't admit defeat. I gave a bitter smile and stood up. "All right." Just as I was about to leave the room, Katerina called out to me, "Colin." I turned around. Her eyes were slightly red. I wasn't sure if I was imagining it. It looked like she was crying. "What is it?" She looked at me for a long time, and finally, her tone was sarcastic. Nothing, just take your little lover and get far away. Don't let me see you again. It's annoying. Her voice trembled uncontrollably, and she clutched the bedsheet tightly. The setting sun shone through the yellowed window, half her face hidden in shadow. She looked like a stray dog that had been abandoned, hoping for the person to turn back but too proud to say it. I suddenly thought of when we first met. It was the same sunset, and she had turned back, her eyes and smile full of warmth. Hi, my name's Katerina, and you? In the blink of an eye, more than 10 years had passed. Walking along this long stretch of time, we'd been worn down beyond recognition by the winds of life. I had nothing more to say. All I could leave was one last word. Okay. Chapter 15. Hudson's luck held. He didn't die, but his spine was injured, and he was completely paralyzed. He'd likely spend the rest of his life in bed. I went to see him, and he seemed to hate me even more, hurling insults at me. It was so nasty I didn't even want to stay, so I just looked at him and left. Before leaving, I made sure to show him the keys to my Maybach, the same car he had wanted Katerina to buy for him, which she never did. His eyes nearly bulged out in fury, but his body couldn't move an inch. He could only watch as I leisurely left. I didn't know if he would ever get better. Even if he did, all that awaited him was legal punishment. I married Patricia, a year after my divorce from Katerina. Katerina didn't come to the wedding, but she did send a large red envelope. She couldn't help but call me, her tone sarcastic. She looks like your daughter standing next to you. You two don't match at all. I retorted. Nonsense. I'm only 30. Don't you know that men get better with age at 30? I'm in my prime now. I knew she must have secretly come to see, even if she hadn't met with me. It had been a long time since we'd spoken, and neither of us knew what to say. After a while, she finally said softly, Colin, if one day you stop loving her, or she doesn't treat you well, come back. Okay, I smiled. Dream on. She shot back. I was joking. You didn't really fall for it, did you? I'm telling you, divorcing me will be the thing you regret most. You'll never find another woman as good as me. I sneered. Before hanging up, Katerina suddenly said softly, Colin, about the past, I'm sorry. I wish you happiness. I paused for a moment and replied, Katerina, I hope you find happiness too. I mean it this time. Not far away. Patricia called loudly, honey, bring another box. There's so much cash. We can't fit it all. Katerina heard it and hung up silently. I rubbed my face. Coming. Some people don't stop loving. It's just that some love is destined to be shallow and fleeting, full of deep feelings but lacking fate. Staying together would only bring more pain. Instead of torturing each other until we grow old, it's better to let go and set each other free. Katerina, I hope this time, we both find happiness. Chapter 16. Katerina's perspective. The first time I saw that little girl named Patricia was the day she came home with Colin. Colin smiled indulgently, ruffling her hair. For a moment, I was stunned. How long had it been since I'd seen Colin smile at me like that? He used to smile a lot. I don't remember exactly when he stopped smiling when we were together. Probably since the first time I was with another man and he found out. I can't remember clearly. He looked really happy. For some reason, I felt a pang of discomfort. I knew Colin would sometimes find other women out of spite, just to provoke me, so I never cared. But this time, it felt different. When I got home, I deliberately took off my coat in the living room, exposing the red marks Hudson had left on my chest. These marks had always driven Colin crazy. He would fly into a rage, smash everything within reach, and eventually sit there, smoking in silence until late at night. I used to hate that about him. Once a person gains power, desire follows them like a shadow. Those men vied to get close to me, and I couldn't resist. I wasn't a saint. Besides, many people around me were like this. Why could everyone else put up with it, but not him? At first, seeing him in pain made me feel a bit guilty, like I was doing something wrong after we'd gone through so much together. But then, I became numb. The angrier he got, the more annoyed I became. Yet today, he didn't seem to notice. He was glued to his phone, a smile lingering on his lips. I swayed in front of him on purpose, but he just frowned, then took his phone and went back to the room. Something wasn't right, but I still comforted myself. It must be another one of his tricks, just playing hard to get. Colin loves me so much, he can't live without me. It wasn't until Colin brought up divorce that I felt like something had slipped out of my control. Unlike before, Colin had everything about the assets split clearly. It was obvious he'd been planning for a long time. I asked him if he was serious about that young girl. He admitted it. Yes. At that moment, I felt something inside me snap. In an instant, all our agreements about living our own lives and not interfering flew out the window. I grabbed him. He knew me too well, and he must have seen the fear in my eyes. I gritted my teeth, threatening him. You want a divorce? Dream on. How could Colin possibly divorce me? How could we possibly divorce? How could he even think of leaving me? Just imagining him loving another woman made my chest tighten, as if someone had plunged a knife into it out of nowhere. I opened my mouth, but it felt like I couldn't breathe. Strangely, What crossed my mind at that moment was, so this is what heartbreak feels like. Is this what he felt all those times before? I wanted to reason with Colin. He's not stupid, he should know that being with me is best. I admitted that I had gone too far before and promised to restrain myself. I thought of so many ways to phrase it, but when I saw the love marks on his neck, I forgot everything. In that moment, I wanted to smash everything. I wanted to ask him what the hell he wanted. I even wanted to grab a knife and stab him, then stab myself. How could he betray me? How could he betray me? Just a few months ago, he was losing sleep over me staying out all night, and now, in just a few months, he loved someone else. But he just sneered and asked, "What's the matter? Can't recognize what this is on someone else?" I suddenly couldn't find any words. Yeah, I was the one who first said we wouldn't interfere. I was the one who cheated first. What right did I have to blame him? Isn't this what I wanted? Those young, vibrant bodies came and went around me, and I indulged in the thrill of it. The boys were obsessed with me, kneeling at my feet to please me. They hadn't seen me at my lowest. Rather than saying I liked them, it would be more accurate to say I liked the image of myself in their eyes, the perfect version of me. Unlike the way Colin looked at me, he had stayed by my side through my toughest times, seen all my low points. I knew I shouldn't be like this, but every time I was with him, a voice in my head reminded me of my past. He would bring up the old times during arguments, trying to make me change my mind. He didn't know, I hated hearing about those times more than anything. I had succeeded. I wanted to sever ties with that failed past, including him. I couldn't sleep at all that night. Every time I closed my eyes, the love marks on Colin's neck flashed before my eyes. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Him being entranced, him holding that woman, him being intimate with another woman. Every image felt like a knife, slicing away pieces of my heart, but I couldn't control myself. As dawn approached, I wiped my eyes. They were wet and cold. Oh, I had cried. I couldn't help but laugh, and the more I laughed, the louder it became. Is this karma? The tears I made Colin shed are now flowing from my eyes. Now I finally understood just how important he was to me. He had become a part of my very being. Every movement was excruciating, but he had never left before, so I had never realized. It seemed that Colin was determined to divorce. I pretended to agree, but said I wanted to meet that woman. I wanted him to see the difference between us. What could a young girl give him? He was just like me, chasing a fleeting thrill. I wanted to gamble that he would change his mind. We had been together for so many years, entangled with each other. Truly cutting ties would mean tearing pieces of flesh from both of us. He would come to his senses. I never thought Hudson would drive his car at us. He was just something to kill my boredom, not someone I really liked. He only looked a bit like Colin. I liked the infatuated, flattering look in his eyes that reminded me of Colin. I didn't want to deal with him anymore. I never expected him to go to such an extreme. In that moment, before I could even think, my body moved on its own. All I could see was Colin. Right before darkness overtook me, two fleeting thoughts crossed my mind. He's safe, good. He chose that woman in the end. During the 3 days I was unconscious, I kept dreaming of my early years, and of Colin. From his young face in a school uniform, to the time we shared a cold noodle wrap sitting at the subway station, to the happiness on his face when we got married. Finally, there was him slumped amidst shattered pieces, looking at me with hatred in his eyes. I really did make him suffer, I thought. He used to smile so much. What had I done? Suddenly, I felt unbearable pain, struggling to open my eyes. When I saw Colin again, I agreed to divorce. Saying those words hurt more than I'd imagined. For a moment, I felt like I couldn't bear it, but he must have really wanted to leave me. I had made him suffer for so long. Should I keep holding on to him, refusing to let go? I wanted to see him smile, even if it wasn't at me. So I forced a smile, pretending to be at ease. Go, take your little lover far away. Don't let me see you again, it's annoying. He looked at me for a long time, and finally, he smiled. Okay, I wanted to beg him not to go. Colin, don't leave me. I'll give you anything you want, please don't go. I hoped he would turn around just once, but he never looked back. I finally understood, he truly didn't love me anymore. If this is the happiness you want, then it's okay. Just leave completely, and let all the entanglement stay with me, because this is my karma. I suddenly understood that this was his punishment for me. For the rest of my life, I will be trapped in the memories he left behind, sinking